Here we go.
Welcome back to the Baltimore Orioles franchise on MLB the Show. I'm your host, longtime listener. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment below. This episode is going to be all about what's going on at the AllStar break. So, we are a definite surprise at this point considering we are just 2 games back in the American League East. There was a stretch where we looked like our season was about to get away from us. But as we approached the All-Star break, we went on a pretty good stretch and turned it around where we're now sitting at 46 and 44, just 2 games back in the division. I don't really think there's any question though that we are not a contender. We are a pretender. So, we'll take a look at some statistics, but a quick look around the league at some standings. The Tigers are atrocious, just like they are in real life. The Twins leading that division, I don't think that's a huge surprise, to be honest. So they're 4 games up. The Astros way out in front in the West. The Rangers are pretty awful. We are 2.5 games back in the wild card race right now. So there's a outside shot that if we can maybe scrounge out like 90 wins, maybe we can squeak into the playoffs, but I really see us landing at this point somewhere closer to 80 or less because we're likely to fade down the stretch, let's be honest. In the National League West, it's the Braves 2 games up on the Nationals. The Mets are 4 back. Phillies are fading at 6.5 back. The Braves could be a serious contender in real life this year. Anyway, the Cubs are 60 and 31. Now, the reality is there are a couple of teams in this division that are just bad. The Pirates are pretty much awful in real life, although they've kind of overachieved a little bit early in the season, but only one other team above 500 in that division. The Cubs are going to run away with that one. The Dodgers also 60 wins at the break. The Padres and Rockies look like they are in really good shape to take the wild card. As you can see, they are in pretty good position on that front. Now, what I want to look at is, let's go to the bottom. So the Marlins at 30 wins in the National League, the worst team on that side. And then, where was it? American League wild card, it's also the Tigers, who have one more loss. So they are my favorite team, and they are the worst in baseball. And then if we look in the National League, the Pirates are my second favorite team because I grew up in Pennsylvania, and they are also atrocious. So it's not a good year for me personally to follow along the baseball world. Now let's go look at league leaders real quick, just to kind of get a sense of who's having really solid years. Nelson Cruz, look at this guy hitting .332. And let's take a look at 27 homers, too. This guy just continues to beat Father Time year in and year out. There's Ryan Mountcastle sitting 4th in the AL batting crown race. Let's see. Doubles, Whit Merrifield out in front. Adalberto Mondesi, 1 ahead of Jahmai Jones for the league lead in triples. Nelson Cruz leading the league in home runs. And remember, where was it? Batting average. He's 2nd there. And I'll bet you he's close for the RBI total. 3rd. So, how old is he? He's 40 years old and competing for a triple crown. Just ridiculous. Who's our best? Trey Mancini, 23 dingers. He really turned it on the last few weeks, was just dropping bombs. So he hit that dry spell in the last episode that we kind of talked about, but 23 dingers from him. That's pretty good at the break. So he could end up with like 40, and there's Ryan Mountcastle, who's having a very solid year in his own regard. So, Giancarlo Stanton with 84 ribbies. How's Mike Trout doing? .313, 25 homers. No surprise there that this guy is, again, among the league lead in terms of offensive output. Nelson Cruz leading the league in runs. Jahmai Jones tied for second in stolen bases. And like I said earlier, I think he could finish in the top 5 in that category. So keep an eye on that. Alvarez, Trout, Cruz, Trout. God, he's so good. Anybody that doesn't think Mike Trout's the best player in baseball is a fool. Justin Verlander, 11 wins. He didn't get one against us, though, so there's Felix Hernandez with 9 wins, although it's a little bit of a misleading stat, let's be honest. He's got a 4.49 ERA, which is also a misleading stat, but 32 saves. I doubt David Robertson. Well, he's 21. He's in the top 10. ERA, J.A. Happ. Wowza. Would not have expected him to be on top of that list. But he's doing it by keeping the ball in the ballpark. Just see there, the top 4 guys in ERA have the lowest number of home runs allowed. That tells you something right there. That's what this sport is all about anymore. It's the only way teams tend to score runs. All right, shutouts. Chris Sale's got 3. He's leading the league in strikeouts. Innings pitched, Zach Plesac. Whip, Ryan Yarbrough. He's having a heck of a year. Pitching war, Shane Bieber. Batting war, no shocker there. Where's Nelson? How is Nelson Cruz? I don't know that I agree with that, but whatever. You can't argue with statistics, right? All right, batting average in the National League is Freddie Freeman. Harper with 6 triples. Kristen Yelich, 29 home runs. Edging out Mookie Betts at this point. He's also got 74 RBI. Mookie Betts leading the league in runs. Tim LeCastro, 23 stolen bases. Bryce Harper does draw a lot of walks. Give him credit for that. Contreras leading the league in OBP. Yelich. Kershaw, 12 wins. Major MLB The Show just absolutely loves the Dodgers. They win over 100 games every single year. So, but the reality is they've got really good pitching, so it's going to happen. Oberg, 31 saves, 1.98 ERA for Walker Buehler, stud. Kershaw, 2.54. Let's see. Jake DeGrom, 126 strikeouts. Kershaw leading the league in innings pitched. Buehler. Pitching war, Jake DeGrom, and Trevor Story with the batting war. So that's a look around the league at their, the standings and the league leaders and such. I wanted to show you who made the All-Star team. So nobody from our starting rotation, nobody from our bullpen, no catchers. Ryan Montcastle was the starter at first base, so good for him. He's raking against righties. Look at his ratings, dude. 90 contact, 66 power. Solid. Altuve at second. Nobody for us at third. Andrelton Simmons at short. Giancarlo Stanton in left. That's a pretty good trio right there. Trout in center, obviously. Like, I'll bet you this wasn't even close in the votes. And then Nelson Cruz, the starter in right field, and Max Kepler, the other right fielder picked for the All-Star team. Now, Cruz, I'm sure, DH'd because he can't play defense anymore. But anyway, so that's it for the American League. And in the National League, Walker Buehler, Kershaw. Look at that, guys. They've got 2 starters. The Cubs have 2 starters. And then Madison Bumgarner. Brent Sutter. Pretty good numbers out of the bullpen. I don't know why they do all this with a bunch of closers instead of taking legitimate relief pitchers for the middle innings or whatever, but who cares? Realmuto at catcher. Really no super impressive numbers in that group, to be honest. Freddie Freeman having a heck of a year. He's just rock solid, Freddie Freeman. Best decision the Braves made recently was to, keep him around and build around him. So, Jake Cronenworth hitting .312 with 6 dingers. Some pretty good numbers there, respectively, at shortstop. And Adam Frazier is a Gold Glover, quality second baseman. So, good to see him getting a nod for the All-Star game for the Buccos. Arenado ran away with that. I mean, those numbers aren't bad, but that wasn't even close. A couple of good shortstops there. Christian Yelich, he's always really good in this game, and it's because he's just so balanced at the plate. Dominic Smith, Lorenzo Cain, there's Acuna, .277 with 15 dingers. Mookie Betts, Bryce Harper, and Conforto. Not bad. Not bad trio there. And now let's look at awards. Just kind of see who's in the running for some of these things at this point. And Nelson Cruz leading the way in MVP voting, I guess you would call it that, or at least like projections. Christian Yelich. Wait, no. Let's stay in the American League first. Cy Young, Verlander. Wowza. And it's because of wins. That's what MLB the Show does. They don't care about all of the other statistics. It's you either win 20 games or you don't even get in the discussion. Anyway, batting title. All right, we already kind of looked at that. Reliever of the year, Kirby Yates. Look at him. Excuse me. Rookie of the year, Marcus Wilson, center field. Like, none of these numbers even remotely impressive. So, whatever. Mike Trout, Hank Aaron Award. Gold Glove at pitcher, Shane Bieber. These awards are kind of silly because they just do it based on fielding percentage for the most part. Vasquez at catcher, Olsen at first, Jonathan Scope at second, Vlad at third. Like, this one's kind of weird because he's got more putouts and assists and a higher fielding percentage, but they're still giving it to Vlad. So, a little bit unusual there. Good job, MLB the Show. Putting some actual, like, realism into it. Probably judging off of, like, great plays or whatevs. Alright, Carlos Correa. Perfect so far at shortstop. Giancarlo Stanton, no errors so far. Austin Hayes in center field. Get you some. That could change because, again, look, more putouts and more assists and a higher fielding percentage. So why are they giving it to Austin Hayes? I'm not complaining. And look at this. Santander in right field is in the mix. So we'll see how that goes. Silver Slugger at DH is Chris Davis, but should it not be Nelson Cruz? I'm confused. They're calling him a right fielder, even though if you look to the left, he's a DH and has won it those years. So what's that all about? Wilson Ramos for the Tigers. Trey Mancini and Montcastle are duking it out as first baseman, even though one of them has been mostly DHing. It doesn't matter. Altuve at second. He's going to run away with that one, it looks like. Bregman at third, although I'd be giving that to Actually, I'd be giving that to Jose Ramirez. You can't fault him for the RBIs if he's hitting .303 with 20 dingers, unless his batting average with runners in scoring position is just atrocious. I don't fault him for the RBIs being down. Willie Castro at short. He's a good hitter. Stanton in left, or actually this is just outfield, so Trout in center, Cruz in right, hypothetically. But like you see there, second and third are the same people across the board. It's just stupid how they do that. Alright, now, National League. It's Yelich for MVP, Kershaw for the Cy Young. That should turn out to be a pretty decent race, I would think. Freddie Freeman gets the batting title for now. Scott Oberg, reliever of the year. Rookie of the year, Colton Welker. Now, see, those are the kind of numbers that I can understand being in the mix. He's got 10 dingers and hitting .276. He's probably not playing every day. Pretty solid play for a rookie. O'Neal Cruz, the highly touted prospect at shortstop for the Pirates, but I'm actually surprised that his offensive numbers are as good as they are right there, because he's not major league ready at the plate. Christian Yelich, Hank Aaron Award, Gold Glove at pitcher, who cares? Ramuto at catcher, Freeman at first, Adam Frazier at second. I told you he's a Gold Glover. Has he won any? Doesn't look like it. Travis Shaw at third. Kind of surprising there. I don't know why Nolan Arenado wouldn't be the one in the leading position there. Miguel Rojas, he's a really good defensive shortstop. And then in the outfield, it's Gurriel Laureano, who's got an absolute rocket for an arm, in case nobody knows. I remember that because he threw us out by like 20 feet earlier in the series. And Dylan Carlson in right. Going at it head-to-head with Mookie Betts. Look at those numbers. That's about as even as it can get. Silver Slugger at pitcher is Michael Lorenzen. He's got 3 dingers. Let me look at his attributes. Yeah, dude can stroke. Look at that. That's interesting. Oh, it lists him. Oh, no, I was going to say it lists two-way player status, but does it do that for everyone? It does, apparently. Whatever. John Lester has a home run for the Nats. Romuto at catcher, Freddie Freeman at first. No surprise there. Ozzie Albies at second. That could turn into a pretty good race. Arenado at third. Trevor Story at short. If his average comes down a little bit, that could be a really good 3-way race. Yelich, Betts, and Dominic Smith with Harper and Schwarber honorable mention. Is that it? Yep, that's it. All right. So that's pretty much where things stand in terms of we're at the AllStar break. We're 2 games over 500, 2 games back in the division, and 2.5 back in the wild card race. But realistically, we just don't have a lot of chances to try and like what I could hypothetically consider doing is trying to trade and go get somebody that helps us compete this year. I don't think that makes sense for us long term. The pieces that I would consider moving in that scenario, like I want to get somebody that's really good. So you've got to give up a top prospect and get somebody that's really good right now as a rental. You're talking somebody like Grayson Rodriguez, who I probably want to have in my starting rotation next year. Same thing with DL Hall, kind of hoping that he is major league ready next year. Nobody there that's super noteworthy that I could move. Excuse me. Maybe Paul Fry would interest some people, but not realistic to get a lot of value out of him. I mean, Rutschman is a guy that I could consider moving, but he's like my best prospect offensively. I mean, you look at his ratings, he's pretty much major league ready right now. He's not going to be great. And if you look at his AAA stats, he just sucks this year. Why does he only have 165 at bats? We're going to have to look at the lineups and make sure that he is starting every single day at AAA, because he should have more at bats than that. But he has not been very good, which the downside there is that he's not progressing as much as I would like in what I suspect will be his last year at AAA. But it is what it is. Now, here's a guy also at 26, he still has a little bit of upside, but he's never going to be a stud at the major league level. And realistically, also, he can't really hit lefties. So he doesn't have a ton of value because he's not even like a premium defender. So I don't think I could get much for him. We're not getting much for Pedro Severino. Like, I just don't have a lot of pieces that I can move. Here's a guy, where is it? Peter Welch. He's 18-year-old, 64 overall, A potential. So he's a top prospect for us because he's young, and if you look at his ratings right there, like, he's not that far off from being major league ready at the plate. Like, I could see him in the lineup as like a DH as early as next year, but his defense is awful. So that's kind of a concern, but I don't care too much about your defensive ratings when you're my first baseman. So he's potentially a trade piece, but like, again, I don't really know what I want to give up. I think in the near future, we're going to end up having to decide what to do with these two guys. Like, Mancini, I think, just needs to become an outfielder for me. He's 29 years old. He has 1 year of arbitration left, and I think we need to move him to the outfield next year and bring up Peter Welch and use him as a DH. Because I don't know what other like weapons we're going to have at the plate. And then Montcastle, honestly, he doesn't hit lefties very well. But if he continues to rake the way he is, we're gonna definitely get a lot of use out of him because we've got lots of team control left with him. But I don't think this is a guy that I would want to trade. Again, the bottom line is I don't really think we're going to try and trade in order to compete this year. Most of the trade offers that we've gotten so far have been like middle-aged guys that are C or sometimes even, well, usually they're C potential. So, like, I know I'm not going to get a ton of value out of them beyond this year, and I don't really see that making sense for us. The one trade that I almost accepted was a guy that was only 21 years old, and he was like a 72 overall. I can't even remember what position was, but he was a D potential, and it's like, well, that doesn't do me any good. He's always going to be average. I don't want that. I want guys that are going to turn into rock stars. But here, I wonder how he's doing. AAA. Ooh, look at his attributes coming along against lefties. Plus 10 contact against lefties. So he's doing pretty well at AAA. That's good to see. Hopefully he continues to come along. I'd like to see his contact against righties get up into the high 50s. And so far it's not progressing a whole lot. But he's still young. And then we've got Gunnar Henderson. He's only 18 years old, and he's a B potential. If he learns to hit for a little bit of power, this guy could be pretty good for us. Left-handed bat, runs pretty well, plays good defense. He just has no power. So give him 3 or 4 years, and he could be a pretty good weapon for us at the major league level. But, again, not really somebody that I want to trade. So what about this dude? Adam Hall. He's pretty much the same player. He's just 2 years older. He got more speed, but he just can't hit. Like, I don't have a whole lot of use for you if you can't hit. We don't have a ton of options here. Somebody offered me a trade for Austin Hayes, and I thought about it because he just doesn't hit lefties really well, but we really need him. He's not performing that well for us, which is some of why I considered it. But I don't have a lot of other options there. Cedric Mullins is not a guy that I can play every day, obviously. He can't hit lefties at all. But anyway. Santander, I really need him to get it together. He just has not been very good. DJ Stewart, he's been okay. But we need some more depth before we can start really looking into those trades. I do want to look real quick at our individual player statistics. So we're just going to kind of sort by a couple of these key statistics. And again, like we know Montcastle, like some of these guys at the top are definitely overachieving. I would say all of these guys are overachieving. Rio Ruiz is about what I would have expected. Severino's doing pretty well. Jahmai Jones was doing really well and kind of cooled off a little bit, but he's still doing about as I would have expected. Cedric Mullins, who cares? Austin Hayes just has never really been able to get it going for an extended period of time. Same with Santander. Stewart missed a lot of time due to injury, so small sample size there. Freddie Galvis has not been very good. Sanchez has not been very good. And then Valaika, he was just atrocious for a long time. In the last week or two, he has started to hit a little better, but man, has he been a disappointment. Because he's mostly only playing against lefties, who he should hit pretty well, but he has just sucked. So that's that. Now we're going to look at WHIP, and Kramer is my long relief guy, and he's usually coming in situations. He was in the starting rotation, but wasn't doing very well, so we moved him to the bullpen, and he's usually coming in situations where we're trying to get just innings because the starter was getting shelled. So he's coming into tough situations, so I can't really fault him for not doing very well. Harvey hasn't been terrible, but he's not very good, so I don't really care that much. Tanner Scott has been a little bit of a disappointment. The WHIP is way up. Paul Fry has been okay. Goudreau is giving up a fair amount of homers, if I remember right. Where is it? Home runs allowed, 16. That's not ideal. But anyway, he has been subpar. David Robertson was awful early on and has been okay since. Not great, and I wouldn't even say like very good. I would say he's been good since about like the second or third week of the season. Keegan Aiken has been hit and miss, but for the most part, I'm satisfied with what we're getting out of him. King Felix has had some rough starts, but also some really good ones. And he's 9-3, so he's competing for us. Sean Armstrong has been really good, especially lately. John Means has really cooled off lately, where he was off to a really good start, but we weren't giving him any run support. And now he's sitting here, he's our ace, and he's 4-6, which kind of stinks. But the 1.29 WHIP is definitely respectable for a guy that realistically I would want to have more in the middle of our rotation. And then Valdez has been really good for us, and Wade LeBlanc is still pitching extremely well. The home run ball has bit him, but like his WHIP is rock solid. It's just been home runs. So in 44 innings, he has given up 7 home runs. That's not ideal. So, but he's been solid for us. But guys, that is going to do it for this episode. Be sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, comment below, and we will see y'all next time.
Here we go.